If you're setting up a home theater and you've already picked out the speakers, the real question right now is whether the amp you put in front of them will actually let you enjoy movies and music without constantly tweaking settings or fearing you've over or underpowered the system. Most people worry about spending a lot on a receiver only to find out it's either too weak for their big screen ambitions or so feature-heavy that you spend half the evening navigating menus instead of watching the film. That hesitation makes sense because a bad match can mean constantly adjusting volume, dealing with clipping, or even replacing components later. The Marantz MM7055 5-channel power amplifier aims to be that straightforward, reliable bridge between your source and your speakers, and the link is in the description if you want to check the product details on Amazon. First off, let's break down what a 5-channel power amp actually does in everyday terms. Unlike a full-blown AV receiver that handles video switching, network streaming, and room correction, this unit is solely focused on delivering clean power to 5 speaker outputs. That simplicity is a blessing for anyone who already has a preamp or a controller handling source selection and wants an amplifier that just works. In a typical living room setup with a center channel, left and right front speakers, and 2 surround speakers, the MM7055 can drive all those drivers with 140 watts per channel into an 8-ohm load, measured from 20 Hz to 20 kHz. In practice, that means you'll have enough headroom for dynamic movie explosions, low-level dialogue in a quiet scene, and the occasional bass-heavy music track without the amp straining or the speakers sounding flat. One of the first things I noticed when looking at user forums and the limited reviews that do exist is that people who already own Marantz preamps love the consistency of the HDAM, hybrid digital amplifier module, circuitry. The HDAM circuit is known for keeping the signal path clean, which translates to more detail in the mid-range. Think of a vocalist's nuance or a drum's subtle overtone. For a home theater enthusiast who cares about that level of fidelity, the MM7055 promises a step up from a generic mass-market amp. At the same time, the amp's front panel has a sleek, black finish that blends nicely with most AV racks, and the detachable power cord is a small but handy detail if you ever need to swap out cables or relocate the unit. Now, let's talk about who should actually consider this box. If you already have a preamp or a network streamer that outputs a clean line-level signal and you're comfortable setting up speaker wiring yourself, the MM7055 is a solid candidate. It fits nicely for anyone building a mid-range system, say, a pair of 6.5-inch front speakers, a 5-inch center, and 2 compact surrounds. The amp can handle each channel independently, so you can balance the surround levels without relying on the sometimes confusing bass management settings you find on full receivers. For people who enjoy playing vinyl or have a dedicated DAC, pairing this amp with that source will let the music shine without the extra noise that video processing can add. On the flip side, if you're a first-time builder who wants an all-in-one solution that includes HDMI switching, Dolby Atmos processing, and room calibration, you'll probably skip the MM7055. Its lack of video inputs means you still need a separate component to handle source selection and video decoding, which can add complexity and cost. Likewise, if you're looking for a 7 or 9-channel amp to drive a more expansive surround setup, the 5-channel configuration will limit you, forcing you to run a separate subwoofer amp or sacrifice a channel. Finally, those who plan to run their speakers at very low impedances, like 4 ohms or below, should double-check the amp's stability, as the official rating is 8 ohms, pushing it beyond that could lead to overheating. Speaking of practical strengths, the real-world advantage of the Marantz MM7055 is its clean, transparent power delivery. In a typical movie night, I've heard people describe the amp's performance as effortless. The dialogue stays clear even when the action gets loud, and the surrounding effects don't feel forced. That's largely because the HDAM design reduces distortion at high volumes, which is exactly what you need when watching something like an action blockbuster with a lot of dynamic range. Another plus is the XLR and RCA inputs for each channel. The XLR connectors are a nice touch for audiophiles who want balanced connections from a preamp or a high-end DAC, reducing the chance of hum or interference that can creep in with long cable runs. On the downside, the MM7055's feature set is intentionally minimal, which some buyers might find limiting. There's no built-in tone control, no bass boost, and no ability to switch between line level and speaker level inputs on the fly. That means you'll have to set your speaker levels once and leave them, which can be a hassle if you frequently switch between music and movies that require different balances. Additionally, the amp doesn't include a dedicated subwoofer output, so you'll need a separate subamp or a powered subwoofer that can handle the low-frequency duties.